All right. All right. All right. All right. Hey, I didn't live stream yesterday, guys. Had not feeling well, so I decided to do it today because normally don't do it on Saturdays because I will be on Killer Carl's podcast later on, 8 o'clock tonight. But I thought I'd jump in here and talk about a couple things. You know, our Vice President J.D. Vance went over to Greenland and over to our military base, our Space Force base, which I think is pretty cool that itself. But the mainstream media, the assholes that they are pushing this narrative that we're wanting to take over Greenland. Even Denmark is making those kind of statements, like we're going to take over uh, Greenland. That's not what the president is saying. The president is saying he wants to do Greenland a better deal than what Denmark does Greenland, because Denmark controls Greenland and Greenland doesn't prosper very well. I mean, they're doing okay considering the type of environment that they live in there. But I mean, the whole country's got less than 60,000 people in it. Now, imagine if American industry comes there and it becomes a viable place to put more military stuff, uh, because that's basically what it's all about. It's about strategic military positioning and being able to mine uh, as President Trump likes to call it, rare earth minerals. Uh, I never thought so much rare earth minerals was so popular. I guess it has something to do with all the electronic high tech stuff. Nevertheless, the whole thing is we're not trying to take over Greenland. President Trump wants Greenland to make a decision to partner up with the United States over Denmark, because Denmark ain't really their partner. Denmark controls them. And if they had some kind of agreement with us, they would be, still their own place. There's nothing to do. They're not trying to make it like a 51st state or nothing, uh, but it would be, uh, like a permanent partnership with the United States. They'd have the greatest military force in the world stationed in their country. They'd have massive amount of income coming in there, and more than likely the population would grow there because of the industry that we would send there. So this whole narrative that President Trump wants to take over Greenland, and I know even military action is being mentioned, not military action against Greenland. It's military action against like the royalty of Denmark, because they're ruled by royalty, is saying that it doesn't matter what Greenland wants, it's not going to happen. Uh, President Trump's not going to get Greenland for the United States. They said they're not going to allow it. That's when the president mentioned all things are on the table. If the Greenlanders vote to allow the United States come in there and partner with them, then basically we'd puff our chest up and tell Denmark to go kick rocks. Uh, so, all this false narrative stuff. And I know President Trump says a lot of bombastic things, but he trolls. He's such a good troller. So, most of us understand his sense of humor. And he has an awesome sense of humor. What's up, Andy? So it it makes them. It's almost like when somebody says the word Trump, you see them twitch. They got the little eye twitch and their head drifts like this, and it's just like, that Trump derangement syndrome kicks in, and case in point, Canada. So the tariffs, went in effect, and they're putting a false narrative out there on the tariff issue with Canada. Uh, Trade has a lot to do with it, but I don't think it was supposed to be 25%. It was going to be a lot less. But due to the fact that they didn't get more proactive to uh, securing the border, because, and I did not know this till President Trump got back in office, that Canada, I always thought Canada was pretty strict on their border. But apparently they're strict going into their country, not strict going out. So if you fly over there and you have ability to land and whatever you pass their criteria of being able to visit there, they don't give a shit if you travel into America. They don't try to stop you at all. Uh, but the Canadian country is so vast. There's so much of the land that is undeveloped that a lot of things can get dropped in, uh, and then muled across the border. And all President Trump was ever saying to him is secure the border, and we'll work out a deal on these tariffs, and it won't be near as bad. Well, here's where Canada fucked up. So you got the new prime minister who took Trudeau's place, saying that he no longer considers America a friend, that they'll start looking elsewhere to do trade with. Uh, so this whole 20, think about this, 25% is what's getting that little twitch going on, because they're already putting 100 to 250% tariff on some of our products going into their country. But that 25% has made them, fucking ridiculous. Then you had I guess they have like different prime ministers across the country because they have different regions or whatever you want to call them. So the gentleman in charge of Quebec uh, said that he's going to inflict as much pain to Americans as he possibly can because of this 25% tariff deal. Think about that. A tariff, which is just a percentage in cost of doing business across borders. Their exports to us, 25%. So 25% is causing them to do the Twitch deal and threatening us. We're not their friend. Well, I don't think we've ever been their friend in the sense that we can rely on their government. Now, the people of Canada, for the most part, good people. I know a couple of them. I like them, but they voted these people in, so you have to assume that this is the representation that they want. So if that's the case, then what's that say about them? So we'll see how that plays out. Something tells me that uh, they're gonna fuck around and find out, and it's not gonna be Canada inflicting pain on us. It's gonna be the other way around, because just remarks like that will make Trump go, okay, we'll take it from 25% to 50%. 70%, think about this, over 70% of their exports is products they sell to us. And I think it's like 18%. Oh, no, I think it's less than that. I think it's like 12%. I'm sorry. Is our exports into their country. Now, who's going to get hurt the most? Because we can just turn around and purchase American because most of the products that we buy from them is products that these American companies, uh, like car products, they have some car products that are built there that come across back to over to us. They can just ramp up the numbers at an American plant, and we may notice a small difference, but not no 25% or 12% or whatever, or excuse me, 25%. We're probably going to notice 5%. So that they're playing a game they can't win. Or as President Trump likes to say, they ain't got the cards. They don't have a good hand here. They're not going to be able to throw that hand down and collect the pot. It's not going to work. Trump is a better poker player than they are. You know, every game that he plays, chess, poker, they're all basically uh, chess is a a thought ahead. You got to plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. Poker is just convincing the other person that you got a better hand than they do, whether you do or don't. But in this case, we do. So Canada is not gonna turn out well for them. Let's see what I want to talk about next. I'm gonna talk about some of this stuff on Killer Carl's podcast tonight, but I just wanted to jump on here since I haven't done it. I didn't do my live yesterday. You see the interview on Fox with the excuse me, Elon Musk and the rest of the Doge individuals? Do they all look like they're 19 years old? No. Some of them men look like they were in their early 40s, late 30s. So that there's a false narrative by itself. But just the fact that they say they every time they just lightly check things, audit things, just doing a quick check, they found money. Every time they turn around, it's $1 billion plus money going to ridiculous programs or scams, basically. You know what I'm saying? Scams. So $1 billion plus every time they turn around, and you seen the guys behind him that's doing this with him. He was talking about that. You know, it's nothing to find every time they turn around. It's like it's a drop in the bucket. $1 billion plus here, $1 billion plus there, and the guys behind him was shaking their head, yeah. And you know, and Elon was saying, you know, this is far worse than they imagined, and it was all set up to basically put money into the funds to get all these illegal aliens here, paid to get them here, and then paying a buttload of them to stay here. Now they say I remember when they was talking about, well, you know, they're not using regular funds, they're not using Medicaid, Medicare, or welfare, any of that. No, they found like 20 other ways to pay these people. It's still money that they allocated when Biden kicked that budget up $2 trillion. How it's estimated they used $500 billion outside the borders of this country to get those people shipped into this country to all these nonprofits and law firms and places like that, Catholic churches. All this money dumped into these places to help transport these people into this country. It was intentional. It was done on purpose. And it wasn't done for humanitarian reasons either. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Every time I think about it, it pisses me off. It just fucking pisses me off every time I think about it. So I'm gonna move on. Gavin Newsom was on Bill Maher this week. I hope nobody's believing the bullshit that he's laying down. He acting like he's more center now. You know what I'm saying? Uh, People forget that he's like his being governor on one of the worst states, other than like New York in America, ran open air drug use, which means that anybody can shoot up, in the park on the sidewalk. Nothing can be done about it. That's not against the law there. And all the school closings and the small businesses that closed, all the ratting on their name, telling the people to rat on their neighbors if they go outside or not wearing a mask. Uh, the whole deal with the wildfires, the even the transgender issue. There's nothing center about Gavin Newsom at all. He's trying his best to set himself up for 2028. But I hope people are smart enough and have good enough memories, because it don't take a hard memory to remember this. But who knows in 4 years that he's a freaking horrible governor. But they voted for him. All these people, they voted for these people. That's funny how they voted for all these people, and then they got a mass exodus out of California because they can't afford to live there, and they're so tired of the policies of that state. But yet, these same people that are moving out, uh, moving to Texas, a lot of them, trying to change the landscape of Texas as far as the voting. They don't like how California's ran, but they go right into Texas and they still vote Democrat. Tell me how that makes sense. I mean, I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but Jesus Christ, that don't make sense whatever. But they do it. They can't help themselves. They're brainwashed. They need to be deprogrammed. Then I seen, and I'm not a Bill Barr fan, guys. I really ain't. Bill Barr, he kind of turned on President Trump there in the end. But he defended Trump on Fox News this weekend, or this week, sorry, explaining how these judges don't have the right to do what they're doing. They cannot hold up the process of the executive branch. If there is a problem, then these cases need to be heard by the Supreme Court, not these lower level judges, which over 30% of these judges that were put into place by Obama or Biden are foreign born judges who never had any judge experience at all before they got these federal positions. They were never a county judge, city judge, whatever you want to call it. They were never anything like that. They were never a state, judge in the circuits for the state. Nothing. Boom. Federal judges. Chuck Schumer bragged about it. They put 235 progressive judges in place. in the last 2 years of Biden's administration. Now, why would you even describe them as progressive judges? And where were the Republicans on this? And how did they, it's one thing to be foreign born. The percentages are kind of stupidly high. I mean, there's something to that, I'm sure, but to have no experience whatsoever and then they get confirmed for these federal positions, it's bullshit. It's another damn scam to screw us, to make sure that if a Republican is in power, can't get nothing done because of the legal lawfare bullshit that they try to wade through. And they see, and here's the thing, they're so used to the Republicans having no balls. Hell, the Supreme Court told Biden, you don't have the right to do loan forgiveness and use American taxpayer money to do it. It's unconstitutional. What'd he say? I don't give a shit. I'm doing it anyway. Like this whole deal with uh what is it? Hamar, I'm gonna say his name wrong. Mahmad Khalif. Maham Yeah. You guys know who I'm talking about. I don't have it written down, otherwise I'd say it correctly. We'll just say Khalif. Uh Everything in our laws say that they have the complete and total right to remove this person from the country. Then what happened? One of these low level federal judges stepped in and trying to stop it. But what President Trump and them basically saying to these judges, go fuck yourself. I'm doing it. You got a problem with it? I see you in the Supreme Court. So he should not let none of these lower judges, none of them, stop anything that he's doing. Nothing. Don't matter, whatever. The mainstream media is going to tell their bullshit lies. So no matter what he does, it's going to have a negative story about it. Even if he follows the process, which he's tried to do to the best of his ability, because what I was just getting ready to say is the Democrats rely on Republicans not having any balls. Going, it's a legal matter now. It's a legal matter. We got to stop what we're doing. We got to go to court and try to do it the right way. Why? Democrats don't do it that way. You got to give it up for the Democrats. They don't give a shit what you think about how they're doing stuff. Now, granted, they have so much of social media, except, well, not these current podcasters, but when I say social media, you get all these Hollywood types and the mainstream news. All these people are gonna, carry the water for them, talk shit, whatever it takes. We all know they get the memo if there's a story come out, because I don't care if it's your local news station, like our local Channel 7, or if it's CNN or MSNBC or whatever, they all say the same thing almost to the T. So we know they get the memo, and they're just reading a script. Fake rage, fake scandal, like the Signal app scandal. Signal Gate, as they're calling it. They're trying to make it a big deal to get Pete Hegseth fired over it. Why? Yeah, it's unfortunate that, and this needs to be dealt with, is how somebody like that reporter of any kind, or any reporter at all, how that individual got put into the text thread to have those messages sent to. But where they keep saying secret, top secret information, national security, a threat was happening right there. And not one time said who they're bombing, where they're bombing, or who told them about where this individuals are going to be to bomb. So none of those three things, which would constitute a national security crisis issue, all they were doing was going back and forth about the operations that were ongoing. And once the first missile strike happened, it's out there anyway. So from that point on, it's not, you know, they're going to know that what type of missiles you're using. They're going to know which planes are flying over. All these things that the Democrats are trying to make a big ass deal about. Within 120 minutes, let's say this person was a Houthi sympathizer, just a sympathizer, but he's also maybe a Hamas sympathizer or, an Iranian sympathizer. There's no way he would have known who to warn this was going to happen because there was none of that information put in the damn thread of the text messages. I'm going to call them text messages because I'm assuming that's exactly what they are, even though it's a Signal app. And the funny thing is the director of the CIA said when they first got sworn in and they went in and they got started doing their jobs, the office that they was put in charge of, Ratcliffe over the CIA, said, download Signal app on your phone. This is an approved way to communicate. An approved way to communicate. The problem here is the damn reporter being attached to those messages. That needs to be addressed. But that's got nothing to do with Pete Hegseth. He had nothing to do with that. Should he have checked and see who's on the thread thing? Because, you can only read like the first 2 or 3 names and then you got to go in and click on it and then it'll bring up the full list. And would he have even known who that person is? He may have, being that he comes from Fox News. I'm sure, he's dealt with this person before. But still, the cost for somebody to lose a freaking job over? Fuck no. It's bullshit. I was going to play a video about Bill Barr's interview. I don't think I need to. It's kind of long one. It's like 11 minutes about him, pretty much defending Trump's decision on telling these judges to go kick rocks. So, and I don't have much more to say. Like I said, you're going to catch me on Killer Carl at 8 o'clock tonight here on Rumble. Those who are watching me on YouTube, I stream daily on Rumble. So come over and follow me. Empty Pockets Podcast. I might have to go in and edit this when I'm done because I played music at the beginning of this live stream to give people time to click in and open up the live stream. But it's gonna give me a strike until I go in and delete part of when it becomes a video. That's neither here nor there. It's the risk I take. It's the issues I got to deal with. But I felt like some of this stuff I wanted to talk to everybody about. I get it, Andy. Yeah, brother. You guys don't. You're cutting them trees down. I get it. Hey, I know 8 o'clock's kind of late too, but that's why I like doing my Sunday live stream at 7. Anybody see the Jon Stewart? He was on this podcast, and the individual on the podcast was explaining him how the bureaucratic red tape and bullshit and the money spent uh, when President Biden and them were up there and they're talking about, you know, the infrastructure, the Build Back Better deal, and all this other stuff, climate uh, initiative, all this stuff. But yet, if you and the money spent just for committees to talk about starting a committee to talk about doing research, to talk about uh, creating a board to overlook this stuff, to talk about, and it goes on and on and on. And they start out with the government gives them $5 million to start a panel to discuss uh, the stuff that they, and this one here, see, let me see what the program that this was individual on this podcast was talking about was, broadband, doing nationwide broadband, all the red tape. And they never started to lay the first round of cable because they spent all this money and all this time discussing it and allowing people to file lawsuits against it because some people don't want it ran, in different parts of their town or whatever or state. And it was, and they literally reached out to people to give them an opportunity to protest these things. Basically, a scam to take all that money that they put into that bill, the infrastructure bill, to do nothing. Not a damn thing. Aren't you people tired of this? I know I am. They find so many ways to take our money and spend it. All this in all the roundabout ways. All this money went outside the country to find its way back into the country to finance certain things, certain people's campaigns. You know, we are just talking on Carl's live stream the other night. These lower level elections are just as important as these national elections. Case in point, Wisconsin, they got a election for a judge up there. If the wrong judge wins, it changes the districting up there, I guess. Um, I didn't. Carl's more influent about it than I am because I didn't really catch it on my radar. But it's very important. Once I was explained to why it's important, when the Dems, even when they're trying to get a prosecutor elected, a state prosecutor or somebody, the Dems dump millions of dollars into these people getting elected. Millions into a local election. Why isn't the rich people that are in the Republican Party doing the same thing? Why aren't they ponying up the money? I wish I had money, I'd do it myself, but I don't. I don't live in Wisconsin, so the people of Wisconsin are going to have to come out and vote. They can't just sit at home thinking I voted in President Trump. I did my job. No, this fight just got started. It's all hands on deck. Everybody has to participate. I did something I never done before. I'm now part of the polling. I signed up to do that this year. I'm going to try to get elected as a precinct captain and work my way up from there and try to see if I can't get into the city council so I can have some kind of influence on local elections. I should have done it years ago. I'm going to soon be 60, so it's a late start in life, and I apologize that I'm an old person just getting started at this. But You got to start somewhere. You got to start someday. Today might be the day. Think about it. We have to organize. Can't rely on Republicans. Republicans have no balls. I'm MAGA. I'm sure if you're on this live stream, you're MAGA too. We have to organize. We need leadership. I'm not that leader, so I wish I was, but I'm not. I'd like to help organize, but we all need to do something. We all need to play our part. Get these lower elections, get the right people elected into these positions, because you take care of the small elections, and that eventually will take care of it of the large elections. Because this kind of system is a trickle up system, not a trickle down system. You have to work up the ladder from your lower level local elections to the national elections, all the way up to the presidency. You got to do your part. If not, they're going to win again. You think the last 4 years was different? I always say rough. To me, it's been financially rough. It's been horribly rough financially with the last 4 years. But it's not. It's more than just finances. All the wokeness, the DEI stuff, the transgender stuff. And, they. It's one thing to want to be equal and have equal rights and be treated fairly, but they went too far. You know what I'm saying? And they just stepped over too many lines. If they went right up to the line, a lot of us, we all have hearts. We understand. We're not that strict in our. I mean, you can have your personal beliefs. I'm not saying don't, uh, but this country was built on you do you, I do me. As long as we don't interfere with each other and keep government out of our back pocket and out of our constitutional rights, we're all good. But they went too far. They went way too far. The thing is this wasn't just the last 4 years. This took a couple decades minimum. I'd say it's always been happening since the '60s, even some slightly since the '40s, but it started ramping up in the '60s. But it went full blown when the Clintons got in office in the '90s, and Obama kicked it up a little bit more, and then the Biden administration went warp drive, went way, 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 way too far to the left. Elections have consequences. Now, what are we going to do about it? Got to win. Got to win midterms. We got to win these smaller elections. We got a special election happening here in May. Uh, so locally, I'm doing my part. I got to convince other people in my town to do their part. These special elections and these out of cycle, that's what I call them, out of cycle elections, and these lower level elections, period. People don't come out to vote like they need to. We need to show them we're here in force and we're here to stay. I hope we don't just sit down on the couch and start watching TV again and think that President Trump's got this. Because look, they try to take his money, they try to take his freedom, shit, they try to take his life. You think all that's over with? You think if we don't remain in power in the midterms, that they won't come up with any bullshit reason to impeach him, and then the whole process is done and stopped? And then more than likely, because they have mainstream media and all these other things, people will forget. They think then we'll have to start all over again, basically. We may not have somebody as dynamic as President Trump the next time running to rally the base. So we got to remain vigilant and do our part. I got one more thing. I always do a little section of the crazies, all the far left activists and all the craziness. I always say that, you know, they're not out in the force as much anymore, but they ain't gone. They're still here. They're still crazy. And I keep saying somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Well, I got a little video to play. Somebody got hurt. It'll, to me, as soon as I heard it, because I heard it before I seen it on the video, uh, it made my heart sink. And I need to find out that these people are okay because the video cuts off way too soon to know. So I'm gonna play this video of another leftist, stupid, crazy person thinking they have the right to confront somebody. I think this person was in a Tesla that they were being confronted, but he was filming it, so he caught it on film. Or I say film. I'm old school. So let me grab this video, guys. I hate to play it, but I'm gonna play it because I feel like it needs to be played.
My TikTok highlight, yeah, go ahead, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You're not paying attention. I'm paying attention to you. I can do it too. Hey, you Joe Biden looking motherfucker. You suck my dick, you fucking faggot. You faggot. Oh God. Johnny, he just hit somebody. Johnny. Oh God.
That was a mother and her baby in a stroller. This person felt the need to voice his disdain for you being who you are. Because that person that they were going back and forth with is us. Whether we drive a Tesla or not, whatever, that's just the current problem. There's just something to have this fake outrage against. But some of them drink Kool-Aid. I keep saying those who drink Kool-Aid are the dangerous ones. Now, I know this person didn't mean to run over that mother and her baby, but he did. This ain't the last time, guys, unfortunately. Somebody's going to lose their life. Mark my words. There will be a loss of life because it's only going to, as the weather changes and warms up a little bit, because a lot of these people are fair weathered protesters, because, you know, that $40 an hour they make protesting, they don't want to stand in the cold and protest for $40 an hour, but they sure will when it's nice out. So it's going to get worse. I'm seeing where they're finally making some serious arrests and putting some serious charges on some people that are hitting these Tesla dealerships. And you've seen who, like the one individual, uh, he's a devout communist and Hamas supporter that set fire to these Teslas. I think he's even. I guess he's one of them that was shooting up one of the Tesla dealerships too. They found incendiary devices in his possession. Same thing with that transgender individual that set fire to some Teslas. They found some incendiary devices in his possession. These people are getting charged for domestic terrorism, as they should. They done fucked around. Now they're gonna find out. I don't think, and even if they think they're doing it for the righteous cause, I think 6 months to a year down the road, when they're still in prison, uh, hoping that a Democrat will take office someday so they'll get pardoned. Because the next Democrat in office will pardon them. Guarantee it. But once they spend 6 months to a year knowing they still got 18, 19 years left on their sentence, and the rest of them to see that this is going to happen to them if they do this, it'll change a few things. But these assholes that key cars, spray paint cars, wipe shit on these cars, they need to be charged with the same thing. And I tell you, I've said it before, and I tell you again why. It's the motivation behind it. The motivation behind it is what makes it the domestic terrorism. Now, that person who scratches the screwed up messages on somebody's car, these individuals don't know if these people will follow them home and do something worse at their house. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm sure chances are slim, but it's not out of the question. So those individuals need to be charged with domestic terrorism also, because it's the motivation behind it that counts. They did it for intimidation reasons. You know, fuck you. You bought a Tesla. I don't care if you bought it in 2014. You own a Tesla. You're an asshole. What they don't realize is just about every Tesla owner is a Democrat. Until recently, until 5 minutes ago. You know, Tesla is, I think, the third or fourth most profitable company worldwide. They're not going to shut down Tesla over this. It's not enough damage. But these people need to go away for 5 to 20 years. Even the people who scratches somebody's car, at least give them 2 years, something. So people don't have to worry about being able to drive their car and park it in a parking lot and have some kind of screwed up damage done to it. Or worse, followed home. Somebody breaking in their home and wanting to cause physical harm to them. The chances are slim, but it's not out of the question. Got to nip that shit in the butt. All right, guys, I've said enough. I'm sure I've bored some of y'all. I apologize. I'm not that entertaining some days. I just try to get the message out there. Like I said, I'll see you guys in about an hour. Killer Carl right here on Rumble. Free for all Saturday. Rest of y'all can catch me tomorrow on both channels. Jimmy Pockets on YouTube, Empty Pockets Podcast on Rumble. So if you don't see me tonight, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow. You just heard the rest of the story. Till next time, this is James. I'm out of here.